Welcome to another episode of Plastic Surgery Unfiltered. I'm your host, Dr. Armando Davila, and I'm joined today by one of my physician assistants, Kristen Rosati. And today, we're going to be talking about the misconceptions of cosmetic plastic surgery. Is that right?
That's right.
Okay. Well, how about you take it away? I know this is you want to talk a little bit about this first. So.
Well, recently on Netflix, there's this new documentary about The Biggest Loser.
Okay.
I don't know if it's new or not, but it's a 3-part series, and it just hit me at my core.
Okay. So The Biggest Loser was a TV show, though, right?
Yeah, I think it aired in like the early to mid 2000s.
So they made a TV show about a TV show.
Yeah, I'm really in my documentary.
I know you're like
phase.
in a documentary
yeah.
kick.
Yeah. So, so they made this TV show. I think it ran for 12 seasons.
Okay.
And they, slow start, but eventually they started getting like thousands and thousands of applicants for this reality TV show where they put people through, I think it was a 6-month program. And whoever lost the most weight at the end got a huge monetary prize, $250,000.
Oh, okay.
And then, so I think it ran for 12 seasons, like I said, and it then started getting some bad press at the end, and then the series got canceled. It was on NBC.
Why did they end up, you know why they shut it down?
Yeah, well, a lot. So I guess there was a very limited study done.
Yeah.
I don't know who did it, but it was published in the New York Times.
Okay.
Like how the show was wrecking these people's metabolisms.
Yeah.
And they would go on the show, they would lose all this weight. And then like even afterwards when they started eating normal again, like their metabolism was still screwed up and then they gained all their weight back and all this stuff.
I mean, did they have to, it wasn't like medically or surgically assisted weight loss. It was just sort of a crash style diet as fast as possible. Is that what it was sort of the problem?
I mean, they like yank these people out of everyday life. They put them in a gym 8 hours a day. They severely calorie restricted them, like 800 calories. And then they, not only did this study come out at the end, but bad press came out that one of the trainers was giving them like caffeine stacker pills and maybe using like other medications to help, like, cause it was teams, like 2 trainers had teams and then they would go against each other. So anyways, like a whole bunch of bad press. Yeah.
I mean, it makes sense, right? Like when we talk to patients about weight loss, right? Everyone's weight loss plan is a journey, right? And it has to do a lot with that. It's like not a destination. This is a lifestyle and it is a journey of your life. And really, and there's good to have goals and be like, I want to be a certain weight and stuff. But obviously if you set a timeline on it, and I think a lot of us do this, we're like, I want to lose 20 pounds by the time, like that's how I feel right now. I want to lose 20 pounds by the time I'm going on vacation to, and I think we do that to kind of motivate ourselves, and obviously it can be very motivating, but it makes us do bad behaviors, right? So instead of like, thinking about just healthy eating overall, I'm like, well, I'm basically going to starve myself on like potato chips and Diet Coke for 1 bag of potato chips and 6 Diet Cokes per day until the trip.
Yeah.
And so, putting that on national television probably wasn't like a great idea.
Probably not the best thing. And then incentivizing people with like a huge amount of cash, also not great. And then pitting 2 teams against each other,
also not great.
Not great.
Yeah.
But in the show, they followed some of the contestants afterwards, and then some of these people became like, I don't know, C-list celebrities.
Yeah.
They were going on like other doctor shows.
Yeah.
And they showed some of the people's plastic surgery results that we
kind of do. Yeah.
We do on people.
Yeah.
And it just got me thinking about what we do, why we do it at this office, like what we're trying to accomplish. And even though the TV show was not a success, I mean, it not a success in the like greater public.
Yeah.
What's that called? Public perception?
Yeah, I guess public perception.
Like
near the end, I guess.
Some of these people like have maintained some weight loss, and of course, like they go up and down, but it just made me think about the type of surgery that we do and how important it is that we're doing this, like how people's journey is not complete after weight loss, and these people will basically do anything to feel and look better about themselves, right?
Yeah, I mean, it's not just...
I don't mean it negative.
No, absolutely. And it's like when you as a person... Like I've never been, very, very, very heavy, but, I've had rough like situations in my life when, I was too busy or I want to make any number of excuses that we, as human beings, we do to like justify, bad behaviors. And, I was, 60 pounds heavier than this. And, I look back at those photos and I sometimes say like, I'll never want to return to feeling that way. And, even as I have gained a little bit of weight recently, it starts to creep up and you start to get nervous, right? That you'll return to kind of that life and lifestyle. And it's important that, you're going to live a long life. You need to take care of your body. And so when you do decide to lose weight, it has to be, thoughtful. And I think the biggest thing is that there's so much shame. There's so much shame in life in general, but so much shame surrounding, weight loss. And it's like, if you do it through diet and exercise, you're shamed. If you do it with a trainer, you're shamed. If you do it with medication, you're shamed. It's like, no,
even if you do it with surgery, you're shamed.
You're shamed.
Everything is the easy way out.
Yeah, everything seems to be the easy way out. And then if you're too skinny and you didn't eat enough, you're shamed. And if you
lose weight, then gain it back.
You're shamed. And so it's just like, because it's such a sensitive topic, and I think it hits home for so many people. I think that it's, especially with the power of the internet, sometimes it brings the worst out in people, and they just want to essentially, bring down people who have accomplished something that they themselves have not been able to accomplish. And so, and I think this hits home a lot with these, especially with the not advent, because again, GLP-1 inhibitors have been around for, 10, I think 15 years already.
I've been prescribing them for, 2012. Yeah. At least.
And so it's suddenly they hit the social sphere, right? And now it's like, oh my gosh, everyone's doing this, but they've been around for a really long time. And, there's people who succeed and people who don't in them. And like anything, these are tools that are used to help people, and everyone needs help sometimes, It's like, and so, but you're right. The weight loss is just like one step there,
Yeah.
I mean, like,
it's a big step.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people, when they lose large amounts, even, 20 pounds up to 120 pounds, that is the people, I think that's the hardest step. But then you have to maintain that weight loss, which becomes even harder. And then once you look in the mirror and you have all this excess skin, then you feel a lot of shame. So then, then you make the decision to have surgery, and people shame you for that because you want to have plastic. I don't know. It just really struck a chord with me. Like,
I mean, tell people, like, you before you came and joined us here, tell them a little bit about what you did for a living, and that maybe give us some context too.
Sure. So. I graduated PA school in 2009. From 2009 to 2022, till I came here, I worked in weight loss surgery. And so, assisting in the operating room, but also teaching these people classes and pre-op classes and post-op classes, and my undergrads in dietetics and nutrition. So it kind of all came together accidentally for me, but it has really struck something inside of me.
Yeah. And you are such a great resource here for the patients, because you've seen like sort of both sides of it. And I think one of the things that, to give a little plug for weight loss surgery, which is not the same as like what now on the internet is body contouring after weight loss surgery, is what we do. Weight loss surgery is surgery that changes something about your anatomic structure or metabolism to a certain degree on a surgical basis rather than a chemical basis, like medication, to essentially help you or guide your body to lose weight. And usually it is through some degree of calorie. It's always, that's the only way we lose weight is like calorie deficit. We're always going to be catabolic or consumptive, but you want to do it healthily, right?
Yeah. And I'm just going to add one thing to that there are metabolic hormonal changes that happen after weight loss surgery.
Exactly.
Too.
Absolutely.
So it's not just like the physical act of the surgery, like restricting eating.
Yeah.
There's a lot of GLP-1 mimicking effects happening.
Yeah.
So that's why I think it's works so well.
And we don't even we have been studying it for a while, but I remember when these surgeries started to be developed, they weren't developed in the 90s, but they started getting safer in the 90s.
Right, because of laparoscopy.
Yeah. Because we thought we wouldn't be able to do them on these like really big, heavy people.
Sure.
And so, but it started getting safer. And, I do remember that it's sort of like these things worked, but they didn't exactly know why they were working. I think early on they just thought, hey, make the stomach smaller, that's going to do it. But it's really something more complex than that. But my point of this is that, people think that's sort of cheating, but you can eat your way without discipline. You can eat your way through any of these surgeries. And so, one of the things that people don't realize is these patients have to go through rigorous protocols to see if they're even a candidate. And I think it used to be very, very rigorous, right? Psychological evaluation. They had to try a trial of weight loss, right? Tell me a little, because I don't know that much, but
it used to be. Now it's been a couple of years since I've been involved, but you had to go through a psychology clearance, depending on your insurance requirements, of course. 3 to 6 months of physician supervised diet program, and then any medical clearances that you need, and meeting with a dietitian, and it is rigorous.
Yeah.
And not only that, the first surgeon I worked with for many years, he used to say these people who have morbid obesity are willing to risk their life to lose weight. That is not the easy way out. And that sticks with me.
Yeah, it is true. Right.
Yeah. And it requires a lot of work.
It's a lot of work. And like you said, you can die. And so these people are not cheating, and there's obviously always politics and money that get into it, especially more recently, right? As there's been more and more sort of cash pay, and it just, that's the reality of life, right? That these things cost money, and there is always a sort of an unfairness to that, I think. But it's really utilizing a resource as best you can, and then kind of moving forward. And I think the back end of it, right, is what we do, which is this, again, I sometimes even mix this up when I'm talking to patients, which is weight loss surgery is, again, that, right? And what we do does not actually cause any weight loss. And so that's one of those things that is really difficult, I think, for patients, for the public, and misconceptions about cosmetic surgery, or even just plastic surgery as a whole, that no technical physical weight is lost by this surgery, because we may remove a certain amount of weight from the body during surgery, usually in the form of skin, right? But your body has a baseline level has a certain amount of energy stores that it wants to store, and that's what varies in these metabolic changes, right?
Yeah, I think we call that your metabolic set point.
Your metabolic set point, right? Which is also a confusing term and concept. But and so for the listeners, right, what happens is if I do 5 pounds of liposuction off someone, if you don't actually change anything about how you eat, or anything about your diet, or anything about your life, then what will happen is your body will generally just find a way to store those 5 pounds somewhere else. And, and people sometimes get really worried about that, but it's hard to conceptualize how 5 pounds distributed over your entire frame is a very tiny perceptible difference, and 5 pounds from a very specific focal area during liposuction makes a big difference. And so with a term that's come into is called just body contouring in general, because I like to call it shaping, right? What we're doing is just shaping the body a different way, and taking areas, because everyone, your A-frame, or your
apple
shaped, or whatever the terms are, whatever Time magazine wants to call it this time, or whatever, or Vogue, or no, Vogue doesn't do that. What magazines shame people this way? Lifestyle, or US. It's US Style. But anyways,
okay, Grandma.
But yeah, what you're doing is kind of creating shape. And so we're manipulating fat that way. And so sometimes we'll tell even people, you want to graft it back, right? You don't want to just throw it away, because if you take 5 pounds out, then it's sort of up to your body to decide where it goes. But if you take 5 pounds out and you put 2.5 pounds back in somewhere else that creates a different shape, you're going to have less of those fluctuations. But with patients with weight loss, it's mostly skin.
Yeah. Well, I was going to bring up, we talked about, I think it was an abdominoplasty study after you, do patients lose weight after a tummy tuck? Wasn't that it? I know there was one on the breast reduction.
The breast reduction.
I thought there was
related
one
to diet and exercise.
I thought there was one for abdominoplasty too. Do people lose more weight not related to the surgery? Am I wrong?
Maybe. I don't know. That's why we have to really start linking in our producer here. She could ChatGPT the study, see if you can tell us
Really help.
whether or not if we'll put it in the show notes.
The correct study will be in the show notes.
What was the interpretation of the study?
The interpretation of the study was that you don't, in our body contouring after weight loss, so patients who have lost a significant amount of weight and we perform an abdominoplasty, commonly known as tummy tuck, we're removing a bunch of skin. But once healed, even if we removed 5 or 10 pounds of skin, their weight was pretty much the same as it was before surgery.
Yeah, that's correct.
But I thought it followed them out like a year or 5 years out to see like, did that help motivate them to lose more weight, or did that allow them to move in such a way or to have a motivation in such a way that they would lose weight and keep more weight off. Mm-hmm. And I thought that, while not statistically significant, I thought the results were worth a read. Yeah.
I mean, like, I think that they concluded that it was the minority. I do remember that it was the minority that lost additional weight per se. But it certainly wasn't related in theory to the surgery. It was just that they were already living a healthy lifestyle and that they continued to pursue that lifestyle afterwards. And again, you know, when we see people at all phases of their journey, right, we sometimes see people who have a lot of excess skin, but they're not yet at goal. And that's fine, right? They just have to go into it knowing that sometimes, you know, there might have to be repeat operations and they're trying to spread things out.
And sometimes patients want to move ahead even though they're not at goal, because I think it gives them that little extra push that they need to keep going.
Yeah.
Right?
And also just, again, the goal is just a number. So I sometimes don't qualm about that too much unless it's going to be very detrimental to the surgery because, again, we're just picking these numbers out of thin air, right? For me, it's like...
the patient guides it, really.
Well, yeah, but I mean, I'm like, I want to be 165 pounds. Sure. Why am I supposed to be 165 pounds? I have no idea, because the stupid little BMI chart says so, right? And it just, the BMI, you know, and and again, like, that could be a whole podcast on its own, right?
Probably should be.
Yeah, it's just a number, right? Yeah. And, but it's not... You know, I think it's been weaponized in both directions. It's been weaponized by insurance companies and doctors to, again, create shame or create denials, and really just use it for their own means. But I also think it's weaponized in the other way, where people are like, well, BMI is just a number, and they're living like a wildly unhealthy lifestyle. And it's not like, you know, like there isn't like I'm muscular and I'm a BMI of 40. Like there just, it isn't, right? That is going to be very detrimental to your overall health and your your lifespan and your heart and your knees and your liver and your everything. Right? So, but you know, like I come from a family that has diabetes, right? And so, you know, again, like it's just a number, but I know that when that BMI is in that 30, you know, range, like I am at higher risk for developing insulin resistance, you know,
risk stratification to me.
And so to me, it's like, I want to be 165. I've never been one. I wasn't 165 in high school for God's sakes. And so like, to say that that's my magic number is probably wrong, you know? But yeah, again, shame and how it goes, but
it just is one of the many reasons why I love being here.
Yeah.
Because this is, to me, like the part of this job I'm most passionate about is helping these people that have been disadvantaged, shamed, taken for granted, ignored, and helping them along the way, helping them be seen.
Yeah, be seen.
Yeah, and we get to be a part of that. And I just love it.
I think that's great. Like, you know, one of my mantras is that one of the purposes of life is to see others and be seen in return. And all these things that we do in life, the clothes we wear, the car we drive, the makeup, all these choices that we have. And to a certain extent, sometimes our weight is partly a choice, but not always, you know? And so we make choices that affect it, and sometimes we make mistakes. Like all of us have made mistakes, and we want to correct those mistakes, and we shouldn't be shamed for doing so. And you need help sometimes. And so I'm really proud to like kind of do that work here. And
I think back to the topic of our episode, misconceptions, right?
We're back talking about that.
I'm going to circle back. When you think about cosmetic plastic surgery, at least even in my family, that's not what they think about. I mean, we do offer the whole gamut of cosmetic plastic surgery, but I think the thing that really that I love about our office is that we do a fair amount of this body contouring after weight loss. And I don't think people really think about that as cosmetic surgery. You know, do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think until you've lived with, a ton of excess skin that just like hangs over your waistline and you can't figure out how to put pants on, and, you can't get clothing that fits you because it's really hard until you've lived that life to understand what people are doing here.
And not only body contouring, but even a facelift. After you've lost in your 50s and you've lost 100 and 150 pounds, a facelift at that point, to me, I know it's cosmetic, but it really is like almost functional in some way.
I don't think, we again, the word cosmetic has also become this like sort of dirty word, like this, oh my gosh, like you should be shamed for wanting to look and feel your best. And it's like, no, like, people don't, you would be judged if you did the opposite, right? If you like went to work or you lived life and you just had dirty clothes and shoes with holes in them, they'd be like, oh, like that person needs to put themselves together. Okay. So we all are in acknowledgement that we're all just trying to be the best version of ourselves and look our best. And it's, but suddenly when it involves surgery, now not allowed. Right. And so it's like, the way I think about it is, right, even when you talk about something like breast augmentation, which we think, oh, this is so cosmetic, right? And it's like, again, someone is growing up, they didn't win some kind of genetic lottery, and so they have small breasts, and they're self-conscious. And every single bra is made with the same damn specifications on the planet. There are whole companies that are specialized in making special bras for women with really large breasts, with really small breasts, and so, okay, you didn't fall in the genetic norm or whatever it's supposed to be. And so then every day you go out and you're like, I can't wear the clothes I want to wear. I can't wear the bra I want to wear.
I guess you're exactly right. It's just the pendulum is swung the other way.
Yeah.
But to me, it's judgment and shame in every direction, basically.
In every direction, right? Yeah. And so, there is no way, there's literally no way that a woman can suddenly like put the work in
to grow breasts,
to suddenly grow breasts.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen. And so it's like, they just want to be seen and reflected for who they are,
right.
And, I guess I'm not sure what's wrong with that. And you could go, and the people who want to say, well, you should just be confident in your own skin. Yeah. Okay. That's cool too. Like, no one's forcing you to have this surgery.
Yeah.
But if you, want that help, I don't see why that's a problem. But obviously I'm in this industry, so I'm biased.
I mean, I agree. Yeah. I think just too much shame and judgment and, surrounds our whole field basically. And, you can look at it any way you want, but hopefully it will. I mean, I think it already is becoming more socially acceptable. And
it's like you want to. I mean, I have patients, and especially in this city, they're still very much want to hide things, And to me, like, this is very much what we do here is surgery, and I like to think of it as surgery that sort of affirms the way people feel about themselves on the inside. And when I don't want to offer surgery to someone is when, almost always, when they are not doing it for themselves. When it is not about affirmation of themselves, it is about affirming someone else. People who come in and they're like, someone else told me that my breasts were small, or someone else told me that my nose was big, or whatever it is. And I'm like, do you feel like your breasts are small? Do you feel like your nose is big? And they're like, no. Okay, well, I'm not offering you surgery. And that's kind of where I draw that line. And, you meet with the patients too during the consult. It's not always that easy.
It's not always that easy. And I will say it doesn't happen altogether that often.
Again, I hope that it doesn't happen in our office
In
all that
our
often
office.
because we
Are sending a message.
we send a certain message out.
Yeah.
You know, I think statistically speaking, people, like studies have said that somewhere around 30% of people who enter plastic surgery offices have that kind of behavior where they're doing it kind of for the...
Yeah, and we try our best, I think, to be very, this is going to sound wrong, but clinically like suspicious and investigatory to make sure people are doing it for the right reasons, right? Like we have to kind of weed through that.
Yeah, and the problem is we're trying to also say like no shame, and we're not trying to shame them for their reasons.
Right.
It's just that we know that it is not going to actually solve their issue. Yeah, their issue. And so we don't want them to spend their money and their time and their recovery and the pain for something that is not ultimately going to lead them to the solution that they are looking for. And so it's not trying to shame them, it's just trying to tell them, you know, this is not the right answer.
Now you think about the person as a whole.
Yeah.
I mean, obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, not obviously. Not everyone does that.
I mean,
people are ready to just like...
You and I talk about that all the time.
Yeah. There's plenty of practices and plenty of people who are ready to just take people's money. And obviously, you know, the sore subject for me is the aesthetic surgery industry related to especially medical spas, which has become relatively unregulated, out of control. And people are just ready to take your money to just inject, you know, experimental whatevers into your body and your face, and it could give you cancer and you have no idea. And because someone on the Instagram has 1 million followers and said, this is great, you know? And so, yeah. And I think that, you know, when I Google some stuff on, you know, like I like to use Reddit. I go on Reddit and I'm like, you know, the plastic surgery, the botched Reddits. And it's like, none of it is actually surgery. Like none of it is surgery we do. It's all like med spa stuff.
The med spa space is a little frightening.
It's frightening, right? And so like last night I saw one where a Fitzpatrick 5'6", I mean, someone who has like really dark skin. So, she just looked very, very tan, but went in for laser hair removal. And
is this the person that got burned?
Yeah, the burn one, you know, and it's like just a complete misunderstanding of how lasers work. I mean, complete misunderstanding of how that procedure kills hair. And they basically deformed that person for life with a machine that is safe, you know? And it's like, there's no, what is another one of my mantras? Everything we do in medicine is dangerous. Every single thing. And, you know, it seems like these people know what they're doing, but they don't. And it's really hard for the public to tease that out, you know?
Well, especially because of social media.
Especially,
I think, it makes it even harder. And also, I will say it's not easy to do research on these things.
Oh, so hard.
Know? So if you are a detective, right? If you're just someone who wants to get some cosmetic thing done and you're a detective, it's hard to go through all the Instagram crap and all the websites promoting these things. And it's hard to drill down and get to the bottom of it. Yeah. That's why people should come see us. We'll tell them the truth.
I guess so, yeah. and the truth is that anytime you do something, right, it's going to have risk. No human being is perfect, and you want to go to someone who's knowledgeable and can fix things when they go wrong.
Right.
Probably that's the most important thing, because it's just statistics. Like there are percentages of things that don't go right, and you just don't want to be abandoned by that person because they literally have no idea. That's certainly what happened at that clinic, right? Like they did that. The user obviously did not know how to use that machine, and so the user then obviously does not know how to fix or deal with that problem. And so they just waved their hands, sent him I think the post was like, oh, they sent him the contract that they signed that they waived responsibility, and they kicked them out of the practice, you know? And so it is what it is.
Yeah, it's scary.
So yeah, well, that was a great episode. So we'll start to wrap up, I guess. Any last comments or?
No, this was great.
Okay. Well,
I really enjoyed it.
Thanks for being
letting
the guest
me talk
host
about
today.
My passion.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So, okay. Well, everyone, till next time, it was great being able to talk about the stuff we love. And so we'll see you next week.